So today's conversation is all about identity. I wanted to talk a little bit about identity and what that means to me in this day and age, especially if you're going through like a shift in life. And I want to emphasize how technology and social media culture has shaped and disoriented what identity means to us today. What I've been noticing for myself is that during the pandemic, everything stopped. All of our lives were just halted and we had to stay home. And we've developed the ability to escape the terrors of reality through social media. What a gem that was. We were able to create online community, we were able to create businesses, brands, launch our lives in different ways whilst navigating a really difficult time in life. And obviously, social media also had its huge dangers with the uprise in addiction to social media comparison and just really unhealthy thought patterns that we've developed because we felt like we were doing nothing with ourselves. We were failing at life potentially. And we were also in a pandemic. So, like, were we gonna die? Like, it was life or death there for a long moment, for a long shot. We were on the crisp. we were on the we were on the edge. We were on the cusp. The brain still works. We were on the cusp of something, and that was life or death. Okay, so we went through the pandemic, right? And then post-pandemic, post-COVID, which many people still suffer from COVID, so I don't want to ignore that. It's very real. Long COVID exists, and people still get COVID till this day. Like post-pandemic, specifically, we had to get back to reality. We these corporate jobs were like, come back to office 2, 3 times a week, baby. I don't care that you're trying to transition from living at home, being a little hermit, or having a slower lifestyle. Come back. And then everyone suddenly has to like stop thinking about their health and start thinking about productivity. But at the same time, a lot of hybrid positions came to being, which I know everyone's appreciated. Obviously, we would probably prefer 2 days at work and 4 days at home. Wait, no, 2 days at work and 3 days at home versus 3, 4 days at work. Like, come on, that doesn't feel hybrid to me. But I digress in saying the hybrid work culture had commenced. Now, what does that mean? I think a lot of us had to try to understand, okay, where do I fit in now? I don't want the same things I did before the pandemic. Like my life's completely changed. So many people had the ability to like be still, slow down, take a moment and realize and reevaluate what matters to them. Maybe it wasn't that very strict accounting job that you had. Maybe you actually want to start your own online business and maybe work at a restaurant. Or maybe it's that you found your passion in computer science or software engineering and you want to be a computer developer or engineer. But maybe you found something that spoke to you. And then here you are rediscovering yourself. You had to come back to reality, quote unquote reality, and make that money again. You had to focus on surviving, yet in another way. Corporate culture then understood the importance of the online world of social media and how social media buys our attention. And I'm not saying anything new. I'm sure everyone knows this. But like our attention is our currency. And marketing companies or, people who are selling you something, they're not selling you the product. Let me just say that. They're not selling you a product. You are the product. And I know for me, that was like, oh, no fucking way, bro. No fucking way. I'm gonna get a book and I'm gonna read to you what blew my mind. Hold on. Okay, so here in the book of 10 arguments for deleting your social media right now, let's see if we can see it. Yeah, there we go. This is by Jaron Lanier. He's written a few books on like digital wellness. The problem is not only that users are crammed into online environments that can bring out the worst in us, it is not only that so much power has concentrated into a tiny number of hands that control giant cloud computers. Customers are ready to pay to modify someone else's behavior. Your specific behavior change has been turned into a product. The most curious feature of the addict's personality is that the addict eventually seems to seek out suffering, since suffering is part of the cycle of scratching the itch. A gambler is addicted not to winning exactly, but to the process in which losing is more likely. A junkie is addicted not just to the high, but to the vertiginous difference between the lows and the highs. Addicts also become aggressive, though they feel they are acting out of necessity. The problem occurs when all the phenomena I've just described are driven by a business model in which the incentive is to find customers ready to pay to modify someone else's behavior. Remember, with old-fashioned advertising, you could measure whether a product did better after an ad was run. But now companies are measuring whether individuals change their behaviors, and the feeds for each person are constantly tweaked to get individual behavior to change. Your specific behavior change has been turned into a product. It's a particularly engaging product, not just for users, but for customers slash manipulators, because they worry that if they don't pay up, they'll be left out in the cold. The problem is all of the above, plus one more thing. As explained in the first argument, the scheme I'm describing amplifies negative emotions more than positive ones, so it's more efficient at harming society than improving it. Okay, and that was on page 28, like the original paragraph that I read on this in this book. I think this book is really great to read, especially if you've been feeling a little icked out by social media. And I know like the movement of going back to, let's say, like 90s tech is coming back, having a flip phone or a dumb phone. um, I know there's a word for it, but like also collecting CDs and collecting music players and kind of like separating all of your functions is super popular. And I've been looking into it for like a year now. Do I have a flip phone? No, not yet. But it's because I'm trying to really understand why my mind is so addicted, so attached. So to kind of get back to the terms of identity, I say that because we're being manipulated, right? We're being manipulated and constantly fed to create certain choices so that we buy products. But obviously, our behavior is a product in itself. Like, I know this. Like, I used to work at a marketing company, a few. And so I understand that we have to create personas in order to understand the choices and what you need to be exposed to so that you can make decisions and buy from us. And so, being on the other end of it, right? I got into marketing because of my own brand, and I was like, oh, I'm learning so much about marketing. And then it became really icky, and I was like, maybe I should learn about marketing, not from these like spiritual gurus who think that you can sell retreats and you'll be famous and you'll make like thousands of dollars by going to another country and using their healing modalities, and yet not honoring them in the process. Like I didn't want to learn about marketing that way online. Okay. Or people who tell me to get rich quick. Like that's not gonna work for me. As a business owner at the time, and I'm still a business owner, it's just been paused for a while. That does not work for me. So then I got into this complication, like, oh my God, what? So then I joined a marketing program. It was free, it was great. And I learned a lot. I learned so much. And then I was able to work at marketing agencies. And then I learned there is a very full-fledged system to get me to buy this product because I'm understanding what it takes now. And that takes a lot of research, a lot of, you know, finding the exactly right words. And now I didn't ever dive deeper into this, but I know that like the algorithms, for example, will observe your every behavior every single second you stay on an ad, like watching, just looking at it. You don't have to click on it. And what you do right after that, if you get out of the app or if you look for something else, or if suddenly you start liking sadder things and they know that you're super vulnerable, they'll show that ad again. They'll show it so that you're more likely to buy it. And so that's like one out of many, I'm sure, aspects of how like ads can manipulate you. And I don't want to blame anyone or put any blame in making you feel like shit. But it just is the reality of social media and how we are constantly being sold to in every single avenue. In every single avenue. It's like no longer about us catching up with our friends, right? It's all about, hey, here, buy now. You sad? Buy now. You think you ugly? Yeah, you are. Buy now. So there's that portion, right? So boom, huge conversation in itself, but tracing that back to identity, when you're constantly being sold to and you're constantly being told that you need to change, that you need this, that you're missing that, who are you really? Right? You're working so hard to buy all these products, and then you start to feel empty inside and you start to question, why are you working this job? The pandemic, and then having to do this like hyper productivity, and then having to think you need to be your own boss, babe, and then having to believe that you need all these products. Like, there is so much out there that we don't have access to because we're constantly told that we have to buy the next thing just to get access to it. One thing that I love to see is when like these really rich, like female content creators, even men, but like I love how they tell women, like, you will not get to where you need to be if you don't buy these courses to kind of help you get there and to get that mentor that you need. And I understand it's important to contribute to a conversation, but stop trying to tell people to buy your literally like $15,000 course so that they can be in a Lamborghini in Dubai. Make it make sense. So, where are we now as individuals, as a community, as society? Who are we now, right? I think that's a really important question. Something that I'm trying to understand for myself, even, is who do I want? What do I think people think about me? What do I think think they need to think about me, right? And what do I actually think about me? Whoa, I'm not a therapist, okay? I'm working on that in therapy right now. But that is something that really started to make me think a lot about how I see myself and why I make the decisions that I do, why I contribute to social media, what are the things that I am engaging in, and is that actually something that I care about, or is that something that I think I want someone else to know that I care about, or is that something that I've been fed to care about? Question. I want us to be very curious when it comes to why are we on our phones for more than like 30 minutes? We all deserve a good doom scroll when we're feeling it, but I don't encourage you to purchase anything in those moments. I'm not one to shame, but I just want you to be alert because like people are using your information to be rich, to get rich. And that's how the 1% becomes the 1% when we don't take autonomy over our information. Like, what happened to privacy? What happened to wanting some privacy, right? Like, I don't think that you would want someone watching your every single move. And unfortunately, I know that like TikTok or like Instagram, they have these weird features where they listen to your conversations, even your webcams secretly watch you. Girl, but don't get me started. It's so creepy out here. So, I want you to take accountability into your privacy, digital privacy, and start thinking about how you can protect yourself, right? Your identity, because that matters. Your information matters. Part two of this conversation is diving deeper into what you care about, what you used to care about. When did that change? What do you need for yourself in order to come back to maybe a regulated nervous system? Because I feel like once we're in that space, right? Like, what do you need to get to a regulated nervous system? Maybe that means therapy. Maybe that means working out. Maybe that means doing yoga. Maybe that means hanging out with your friends, doing communal activities, and like um, supporting local businesses and getting out there and talking to people again. Slowly but surely, you have to recognize that this life is really short and that not everyone is going to be looking up to experience it. Not anymore. This is like a dystopian time. Um, so I want us, if you're an artist as well, I want you to maybe invite in a conversation How are you doing? What do you want to create? Because I'm on a blank slate right now. I'm like, who am I? What matters to me? Why does it matter to me? That's my journey that I'm figuring out, and I think I'm getting closer to it because like talking about this feels right. Talking about this feels grounded for me. So if you feel like you've lost the ability to critically think, you've lost the ability to read something for longer than 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's okay. It's all about baby steps. It's all about starting small. I started reading this book to get myself back into reading, funny enough, because this is only 162 pages. And I was like, bet doable. And I got myself a cute highlighter and I started highlighting and I started writing in this book because I felt that it was important for me to have opinions, to have thoughts, and to express them. And you can start there. Understanding what your thoughts, your actual opinions are, and sharing them in a safe space. For me, it was in this book. For me, it's this YouTube video. Now, it took a while for me to get here. But yeah, I think just start small. Start understanding your voice again. Start viewing, observing art outside of your phone. Maybe go to a museum, go to exhibits, watch a movie in the movie theaters if you can afford it. Definitely try to consume art outside of your space, your computer, and your phone because life is out there to be lived. Hey, maybe you've always wanted to go to France. Maybe you've always wanted to go to Italy. What's stopping you? Yeah, money, I know, same. But also like there are residency programs. There's grants. There's so much out there. There's so many free like cool opportunities, but it takes you waking up from the mundane like everyday cycle of not being able to think for yourself and being sold to and being given like funny videos or weird videos or creepy videos where that stays in your mind and like your brain is tired from all that, you know? It needs to chill. And then when it chills, take a break. Give yourself a break. Make a timer. Like every 20 minutes, if you're on your phone like that often, make a timer that every 10 minutes, 5 minute break. And then you can increase it, right? And then decrease the amount you're on your phone. But you can do so many things. I just think it's time for us to gain back our identities. And we can do that in many small ways. And we can do that starting today. You don't have to delete all your social media apps. If you want to take a break, you can. But remember, going cold turkey might have you coming back extra hard. You might be feeling for it a little hard. All right. Just take care of yourself. And if you're an artist, consume art outside of your phone, talk to people, have an opinion. I need to start having more opinions. I need to start communicating my opinions because I've been scared all my life. And sometimes I'm like, is that why I sing pretty songs? Is that why I'm like a little emo and cute? But I'm like, game tea because it's digestible and I'm too scared to actually say something that doesn't fit an Instagram reel. I don't know, but you know what I mean. All right, so I'm gonna end this video here, but I do hope that this empowers you to gain back control of your reality. Don't let the 1% take up so much of your brilliance, so much of your autonomy, so much of your original thinking and what you could be creating or the spaces that you could really make an impact in. I know it's so easy and it's so fun to serve ourselves and to only think about ourselves, but we are here together in this world. And I think we cannot let that die. We have to fight for justice in the best way that we can. And that means by understanding why books are important, understanding why artifacts, certain pieces in the museums are important. We have to understand and preserve our history and preserve our ancestry. All right, y'all, have a great rest of your day, and I wish you well. I can't believe I recorded this on Zoom. I recorded this on Zoom.